figured I'd hit you with a little story, but really it ain't a story. But you'll get the meaning after I get done. The story of two Tibetan brothers who were sent to the monastery to be educated. At the conclusion of their studies, they were to meet God face to face. One brother was studious and bright. The other was lazy and never did his homework. When tests were given, the lazy one copied the answers off his smart brother. Graduation came, and the high priest instructed the lazy brother to go into the garden of the monastery, and there he would find God waiting for him. The lazy one ran to the garden, but all he saw was an old man plowing a furrow in the garden. He said to himself, God has hidden himself from me because he knows I'm not really qualified to meet him. Full of guilt, he left the monastery with a broken heart. The high priest then told the smart brother to go into the garden, and that there he would find God. The smart one went to the garden, and seeing the old man at the plow, he bowed deep and said, Greetings, my lord. I am your humble servant. I have been sent to you by the high priest, and I pray you find me acceptable. The old man smiled and made a deep bow. Then he said, Yes, I have been waiting for you. I've just finished plowing, so let's go over there in the shade. I have a pot of tea and butter. We can sit and talk. After they were seated, the old man passed a cup of tea and said, Damn, still breathing hard. He said, Your brother couldn't see past the veil of ignorance, so he passed on into the world of darkness. I know how you tried to help him, but no one can see or know for another person. But now, my Lord, let's talk about you and the work you are destined to perform. The smart one was shocked, and he asked, Why do you prefer to me, your servant, as your Lord? Because you became a God the moment you stepped through the veil of ignorance into the world of eternal light. When did I step through the veil? The moment that you recognized that I was God and not a peasant. Only a God can recognize a God in another man. This is just part of an ancient story revealing two keys: how to rule the masses and the knowledge of God being a man. These can only be discovered through knowledge. Look around you. There are secret orders of everything. The mystic orders, the Masons, the Christian Knights, the Elks, and would you believe the secret order of the Bull Moose? There are thousands of secret orders, and all of them represent another ring of missing keys. We are the keys. The prophet always gave up all the truths because they understood that truth is divinely protected. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, but those entrusted to pass it on are the ones who give up very little and hide much. A devil cannot cross over to the heaven, but an angel can move freely between both worlds. Everything in heaven and hell seeks to destroy the devil, but everything in both worlds only serves to strengthen the angel. Without the keys, the above statement is very confusing, especially when we add that to the fact that most of us still think of as heaven as above and hell as something below. That's nothing but modern day superstition. Heaven and hell are conditions of the mind, of within, not places we go to. If understood properly, the heaven above is only to indicate a high office, high conscience, or high authority, also height of wisdom and understanding. Below is to indicate the low and disbasement of fallen humanity. The fire of hell is mass emotional insecurities and self-degradation, or something like that. This is the fabled mourning of hell's inhabitants. A thin mental veil separates the wise and the contented angelic being from the ignorant. Pessimistic complain of an evil person. Example, two men sitting on a public bus. One is cheerful, the world is a beautiful place to him. The man next to him wishes he had an atomic bomb so that he could kill every bastard on the planet. Heaven and hell are both in the mind, not places we go to. Remember that. Nothing is good or bad until man gets his hand on it. Good or righteousness, bad or evil, are forces of energy, like positive and negative. You can't be wise unless you know your ignorance. If you can channel these forces of positive and negative and make them work together for you, then you can become so powerful that your knowledge will light up a whole city, like Ben Franklin and his electricity. Yeah, right. Today is city, tomorrow the world. As long as you fail to understand the workings of good and evil, you will not progress far. Try to light an electric lamp with just one cord and nothing will happen. It takes the positive and the negative again. You cannot be wise unless you know your ignorance. You can't be righteous unless you know your evils. If I know that I'm wrong, I know how to get it right. That understanding makes a virtuous sin. If the preachers in the Calgary man would have taught you these things, truth would be flowing so abundantly. We would again be the oceans of the deep. But the preachers in the Calgary were more worried about their treasury than they were of saving souls. You are left starving for truth and praying for another prophet to come. You'll think twice before you let anyone kill the next one, won't you? It's not going to happen. Not no more. There is always one man on the planet who is wiser than all of us put together. He's the supreme being. He's distinguished by his abilities to transform the lives of those who come in contact with him. An ignorant man becomes wise in his presence. The sick get well and the blind can see. There has never been a time where such a man is not in existence. Gods come and go like any other man. But there's never a time when the Supreme One is not on this planet. The Bible is a book of revelations. God is the only dictator who informs the civilization, thousands of years ahead of time, that he will overthrow its government, and he performs a successful takeover every time. That's to prove to you that God isn't dead, that God is very much alive and planning another overthrow. This one will be damn, something trying to stop me. This one will be the biggest one yet. Remember that shit.